I don't know where to begin with S915, the new Executive Office of Health and Policy Bill, so let me start with some parallel history. I lived most of my life in New Jersey, some rural, some suburban, but I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. When I was 7 years old, my parents decided that it was no place to live or raise a child, so we moved to New Brunswick, and when that became too crowded, we moved to a farm in Perrinville. It was a tiny little town, 2 general stores with the postmaster living and running one store. It had a tiny little lake with 2 rowboats, and they mostly grew Jersey corn and tomatoes. No public utilities save for one power line and phone line that ran down Sweetman's Lane, a 2-lane road with drainage ditches on either side. It was designated as Monmouth County Highway 1. Look around. Is this starting to sound familiar? Later on, I got married and moved to Pine Lake Park in Ocean County, New Jersey. Another tiny little town with a little man-made lake and again no public utilities save for power and phone line, singular. Most of the roads weren't even paved. The best we got from the township was oil sprayed on the roads to hold down the dust and the monthly DDT wagon spraying for mosquitoes. We had low taxes and wide open spaces. In the 1960s, Ocean County population was around 100,000. By the time I moved in during the 70s, the population had doubled, bringing with it all the problems of urban life. Here is where the parallels in this story become obvious. The population has now ballooned to almost 700,000, and the infrastructure is collapsing because the people cannot afford to support it any longer. The aquifer that supported the county has collapsed and become badly contaminated, necessitating a public water system be provided, and then the public water system became contaminated from the same aquifer. New Jersey outlawed private septic systems, necessitating sewer systems be built. And of course, by this time, the county and township got around to paving the dirt roads, which had to be torn up, not once, but twice for these projects. To supply power back then, we had built a nuclear power plant in our backyard, which is now so old that it has to be decommissioned. No telling where that debris will end up, but knowing New Jersey, it will end up under a new school or playground. Roads, schools, and hospitals had to be built. Traffic became unbearable and taxes became too high for people to afford. We are about to see the same thing happening here in South Carolina, except that we have better weather. It used to be called Manifest Destiny and was the excuse used to take over the West and resettle all of the original inhabitants of this continent. It is happening right here in our region, and the pattern will continue unabated and is unstoppable. That brings me back to S915, the bill to create the Executive Office of Health and Policy. After reading the latest version of the bill until my glasses and brain fogged over, it is actually a good bill, something that a good corporation would design. The real problem is that it will grow and grow over time, with even more rules and regulations added until the system collapses under its own weight and cost. The best we can do is to take control of the political system and elect representatives with logical and fiscal sense. This is where we are today, caught up in a healthcare maze of our own making. 65 years ago, I walked into my GP's office by myself. I was 7 with an earache. Doc checked me out and gave me a shot of the wonder drug, penicillin, and sent me home. Didn't have any money with me, but he put the $7 charge on the cuff. In hindsight, it sounds wonderful. In today's world, he would be put out of business by the government and sued by the parents. If that's what you want, tell your representatives to vote against this bill. It's our representatives' job to write and control bills and laws. If they make bad laws, then tell them to change them. If they don't, change them. It's our job to watch and control our representatives. And here's how to do it. The answer is in the book, Amazon ASIN, BOOD2Z1GGXWG. Brought to you by FirstAmendmentFreePress.org.